children's TV show with a dark secret. Not gonna lie, y'all, who was in the Barney suit? That dude was definitely a toucher. Damn, bro, there's like 6 different people. Okay, out of all of them, bro, let's be serious. It would definitely be this guy. It would definitely be this guy, bro. All right. Like, let's be serious. Nah, let me stop, bro. I just had nothing to say. My bad, bro. If you're watching this, you're not watching this. You're very old. Let's watch this video.
And it'll be worth 20 points.
It's giving me an ominous vibe. Goddamn.
No doubt I'll have a picture on the front page of every newspaper in the country, right, Ron?
It's 8 a.m. sharp on a Saturday morning in 1979. Families in the Tampa Bay area turn on their television sets as thousands of sleepy children awake on their day off from school. Some flip to Nickelodeon, where a rerun of Pinwheel is playing. Some flip to ABC, where they would catch the final episode of a short-lived TV series called Fangface. However,
all of these shows seem so fucking terrible, bro. Hip Hop Harry? What is Hip Hop Harry?
That morning, others would opt for a more virtuous wake-up call, flipping the station instead to Channel 22, or the Christian Television Network, where a new show was opening the day's slate. A show called Joy Junction is the place to be.
It's like a recreation of the Muppets?
The show Joy
Sesame
Junction
Street?
quickly found its place in the hearts of viewers, with kids immediately connecting with the quirky characters and silly games. Their Christian parents, too, found solace in the show's themes and non-offensive stories, creating a
I think we saw something like this about Morbid. I didn't see the full breakdown, though. I don't remember.
That could be experienced together as a whole family. From that day on, families all across Florida and eventually across the entire United States came to enjoy the program, which continued on for a run of over 20 long years. Until
I don't know why the whole vibe of this kid show is just giving me the creeps. Like, even before whatever about the show, it's like maybe it's the coloring. It's like the coloring or something.
Saturday morning at 8 a.m. sharp, when without explanation, the show came to an unceremonious end and was never broadcast again. Today, the show and all official records of it have been scrubbed from the internet, with the companies behind its creation
they
and the
completely
networks that
eliminated
aired
it?
acting as if it never even existed. Some allegedly going as far as
And it's crazy. It was so easy to do that, bro. You could just scrub anything back then because things just aired on TV, bro. It wasn't like it was on the internet. You just cut it off, bro.
destroy any remaining copies, thanks solely to the heinous events that transpired during and after its television run. This is the story of Joy Junction, the children's TV show with an unimaginably dark secret.
We'll
like that puppet in the
return
back was
after
looking at me.
these messages.
One of the most frustrating things to me is spam phone calls and spam below.
Come and join us for a half hour of fun and games at Joy Junction. Now here's Sheriff Don.
Thank you, and welcome to the...
All recordings definitely look like this before, but this shit is like so creepy. Ugh, recordings are weird.
fun little town of Joy Junction.
Joy Junction was both the name of the show and the name of the fictional town in which it was focused. A town where numerous characters converged to tell stories, play games, and answer questions, all of which pertaining to Christianity. Each episode followed the same basic structure. They were 30 minutes long and would tackle one general lesson taught in the Bible and tell it through an acted-out story. This was then interspersed with various games and audience participation, as the show heavily...
Did they need the creepy-looking puppets, though, for it? They couldn't have gotten something else? I don't know. Actually, all kids before, they used to love like puppets like this and stuff, I guess.
They leaned on including its young fan base and immersing them in the world of Joy Junction. They even had a live studio audience for every episode, comprised of kids ages 3 to 13, with the participants and crowd genuinely seeming excited to be there, which was largely due to its lovable cast of characters. The most prevalent of these was Sheriff Don, who was actually played by the creator of the show itself, Don McAllister.
And the whole gang is here, so we're going to have us a good time today. Glad you could join us for the next 30 minutes.
He guided the show from segment to segment and often focused on the Bible while driving home the episode's central theme, while also being the one who most often interacted with the children who participated in the show. Then there was Forrest Padley, a soft-spoken professor who, ironically, often had lessons taught to him due to his obvious clueless nature.
Your bubble, he'll even help when you did wrong.
well, I'm not a pope, but how about he'll even
Sad thing is they all seem like nice people too.
help when you're in trouble? Hey, Chef Don.
Like you just see this dude in a suit, but you think it's a normal
And
ass
of course,
dude.
the fan favorite, Whittler Dan, a caricature of a southern farmer known as the goofy storyteller of the group.
Oh, hi.
See, this is the only one that's throwing me off. It looked like he called me the hard R or something if I stepped on his ranch by accident.
I'm just sitting here reading some of the mail from Joy Junction and some of the jokes in here. Would you like me to read some more?
Probably reacted to
okay.
it too.
That's good, yeah. Oh, you want me to read it to you?
But of all the characters to come from Joy Junction, there was one, or two, who were by far the most popular, yet polarizing. Ron and Marty. Played by professional ventriloquist Ronald Williams, Ron and Marty were far and away the most memorable characters for those who
it's
watched
mouth.
the show. And for obvious reasons,
That's not
too.
normal
Many
mouth
children
movement.
watching at home found the duo, and Marty specifically, to be off-putting, even horrifying, with some claiming that the doll gave them nightmares and was just too creepy to look at.
It's like it shouldn't be talking like that. At least make it talk like, nah, even that's creepy. But it's talking literally like this. Like the full. I can't do it, bro. Like the full underlip is moving, bro. It's weird.
Causing many to stop watching the show altogether. But despite this, others found the duo to be hilarious and entertaining, tuning in week after week just to see them perform. For the viewers, it was a love or hate relationship with Ron and Marty. But even so, it was impossible to dismiss their impact on the show. They appear in every single episode that we have available today, and they were often tasked with teaching the children some of the series' most important lessons. Lessons like not to cuss.
It seems like I'm hearing a lot of swear words. All the kids are using swear words these days. And I'm afraid one of them's going to slip out of my mouth. First of all, why don't you try immediately praying and asking the Lord to take those bad words and thoughts out of your mind? Say, that's a good idea.
Practicing
Yeah, I'm
self-control.
not listening to you, you fucking doll. You heard me? You fucking doll. I'm not listening to you. Well, shit. Well, fuck.
Self-control. Oh, well, I don't think my self-control works. It must be broken. No, Marty. I don't think anybody can practice self-control all by themselves, but if you'll just ask the Lord to help you, He will.
Defeating bad thoughts.
Hearts will cause good words and thoughts to come out of our mouths. It's almost so, Marty, as if our mouths will overflow with the thoughts and the ideas that are inside of us. You know, we need to be very careful about what we put in our minds and our hearts, Marty. That's for sure.
And most controversially,
Ron, they were looking at some dirty pictures and they wanted me to look too. Well, Marty, what did you do? Well,
These kids like 10? Or how old are these kids in this show? They're younger than that. Do they even know what that is?
I said, look, guys, I like you a lot and I want to play with you, but I can't look at those pictures. I just can't do it.
whether it was the lessons they taught or Marty's blatant uncanniness, these two characters were the most vividly remembered part of the show. And this is important as these memories are essentially all we've been left with.
We are still covered with that darkness and with that sin. And when we say He'll wash us as white as snow, that's referring to the sin that's within us.
Joy Junction is classified today mainly as lost media. No official copies of the show have ever
Honestly,
been published
good
by its
riddance.
creators or the networks that owned it. It just
Good
kind of
riddance.
ended one day and was never talked about again by those involved with the project. And this lack of archiving stretches past just the media itself. If you were to look online for information on the show today, you would find next to nothing. There's no Wikipedia page, no actors, producers, or directors mentioning it in their work history or on their resumes.
Okay, that's kinda crazy.
There's no official website. There's essentially nothing.
So they
Not-
even wiped it from the internet too. Nah, their PR team, I don't know who their PR team is.
Even so much as an official date in which the show started and ended, despite the fact that the show apparently ran for 20 long years. We know for sure that the show aired on CTN in the 1980s, specifically in the Tampa Bay area, before it was later syndicated and broadcast across the country on channels such as TBN and Smile of a Child. But today, none of these networks mention the show having ever
Supersonic
aired in their
WPR
lineups,
team?
and none of them have ever provided an explanation as to why the show was pulled from the air. The only reason we even know anything about it is thanks to old recordings and VHS tapes captured by those who once enjoyed the show. With a few dozen episodes and some short clips from the series having made their way to YouTube in recent years, essentially serving as the only surviving relics of Joy Junction. Because of this, the show is largely a mystery, and information is incredibly scarce and hard to come by. But after doing some digging, I was able to find some mentions of it in old newspapers printed nearly 45 years ago that did shed a bit of light on the context surrounding its creation. The first mention of Joy Junction came in 1978.
Shout out to the people that be keeping that stuff, because, like, bro, really, we wouldn't have history with a lot of things. The people that just, like, kept everything, bro. There's people that literally, I forgot, there's this one woman that recorded, like, every single thing on TV or something from the past. And, like, they just kept it forever for, like, proof of anything.
Within the Evening Independent, though at this point it was not even a television show yet. Instead, advertisements were placed in the paper weekly for the Faith Community Church in Largo, Texas, that mentioned including some sort of in-person app.
What's up with these photos? This is some shit I see in my sleep paralysis. This is the sleep paralysis demons I see, bro. I'd rather just see a drawn face or something than see this.
Specifically for children, called Joy Junction. It's unclear what this performance actually entailed, but coincidentally, just 1 year later, the show Joy Junction would begin filming in Largo, Florida, with these original performances likely serving as the inspiration and the basis for the show itself.
No idea why.
Following this trail of newspapers, I also found that the show was created by a company called WCLF, which began broadcasting back in October of 1979, with the founder of the company vaguely mentioning Joy Junction as an upcoming project. And sure enough, 1 week later, that same paper included a television guide that mentioned Joy Junction showing on TV for the very first time, giving us its likely premiere date of November 10th, 1979. Aside from this, I was able to confirm that the show did in fact play all across the United States and wasn't limited to just Florida, which might be why finding an exact date on when the show ended has proven essentially impossible. But the most common belief across the internet is that the show lasted until somewhere around 2004, putting its lifespan at a surprising 25 years, which makes it all the more unusual that there's hardly any mention of it online, and that there was seemingly no attempt to ever even archive.
So people was really watching this then. This seems like boring. I don't know, I'd rather watch... What do they have, bro? The cat show? Thundercats? That wasn't educational. What am I saying? I don't know, bro. Sesame Street. God damn, bro. Anything but this.
It seemed as if the parties involved didn't just drop the show and forget about it. They completely washed their hands of it and tried their best to bury it. There are even rumors circulating that CTN themselves had all their remaining copies set on fire and destroyed so that the show would forever be forgotten. And when you consider everything that happened, this isn't really all that surprising. But what is surprising is the extent of the unraveling and the way in which it began,
the internet was out, but it wasn't
as it all started with a simple water bottle. It's unknown when exactly the discovery was made, just that it was a terrible one. Police arrest a man under the suspicion of distributing CP, only to find numerous images depicting it on his hard drive, with the vast majority of the victims involved being impossible to identify, except for one. Within the background of one of the images lay a hidden clue, a water bottle displaying the name of a swim and scuba school in Johnson County, Kansas City. Police did a search of the area, asking for help identifying the victim, which led them to a young child who swiftly pointed out their abuser as being a man named Michael Arnett. Michael was immediately arrested, after which the true extent of his crime would be uncovered on his home computers. They contained countless photographs and videos depicting the same disturbing material, including a great deal that was produced by Michael himself. The contents of these images are genuinely some of the most appalling I've ever heard described, though we'll get more into that later, because there is something more relevant to this video that they found on his device. It was a lengthy online chat history with a man named Ronald Brown.
And Ron, you're not one to talk. You're always on the telephone too. Well, I guess.
So we did see this in a morbid video, bro. Nah, this is crazy, bro. This is scary to think about. Hollywood is really acting like this. How long was Hollywood acting like this? How long has Hollywood been like this? Has it just been like this forever? Has it just been, this isn't even Hollywood like that. I mean, it's a show kinda, but I don't know.
Guess you've got a point there, Marty.
Ronald's life was centered around three things: ventriloquism, Christianity, and children. His primary job was working as a traveling puppeteer with a show called Puppets Plus, working school events, birthday parties, and at local malls. He also hosted a weekly puppet show for his local congregation that he billed as being specifically for children. And of course, he had his role on Joy Junction. Every aspect of his life brought him in close proximity to children. And as it turns out, there were several undisclosed incidents that raised serious red flags about this. The first incident occurred in 1998, at a time when Joy Junction was still believed to be in circulation across TV stations. Brown was driving home late one evening when a police officer pulled him over for speeding. The officer shined his light in the car as Ronald reached for his documents, only for his light to catch something unusual stuck between the seat cushions. It was underwear. Children's underwear. Despite the alarming nature of this, Ronald would end up convincing the officer that nothing strange was going on, claiming that the old pair of briefs merely belonged to his puppet, Marty.
Nigga, what? Bro, that puppet's not fitting them big ass drawers? The cop was so dumb, bro. There's no way, bro. I hope he was fired after this. I hope hope.
That night, Ronald was allowed to drive away without further questioning. Though things get stranger from here. Around the time of this encounter, Ronald had been living in a home conveniently located less than a block away from a popular playground. And upon moving into this home, neighbors began to complain of Ronald's relationship with young children in the area. Every Wednesday, kids from around the block would ride their scooters and their bikes over to his house for free pizza. The group would eventually emerge from the home, and Ronald would drive them in his van to a nearby church, where he would supposedly perform his ventriloquism. These weekly meetups were strange to say the least, especially because they were allegedly fairly secretive, with some children even sneaking off to meet the man without telling their parents.
Okay, I was just about to say, where are the parents at, but yeah, he kind of did. Nah, bruh. Nah, the whole time, too, if he was caught, he'd be like, well, I mean, actually, I work for the church, so you don't gotta worry about that, bro.
Parents. There were even other allegations that Ronald himself had hid their bikes underneath his home, almost as if he was trying to avoid any suspicion. And although I couldn't find concrete proof of this, it was rumored that when neighbors checked underneath his home, they reported not only finding these bikes, but used sex toys as well, which were stashed there for unknown reasons. There were never any sort of allegations made against Ron, legal or otherwise, but the red flags here are glaring. Red flags that seemingly went ignored, as people bought into Ronald's act as a God-fearing, silly ventriloquist.
Y'all, okay, stop questioning me. I'm saying as if I was a dumb kid, bro. If I heard there was pizza, I probably would have went, bro. Nah, if I heard there was lasagna. Because that's my shit, bro. That's my shit.
Though in reality, the chats found on the computer of Michael Arnett shattered this perception in the most dramatic way imaginable. Though even so, these chats aren't what you would expect. No, somehow they are much, much worse.
Garfield's. Okay. Yeah, we're done. I want a brief excerpt from Ronald and Michael's chat log. Due to the gravity nature of these messages, I don't feel comfortable reading them out loud. Oof. Ronald Brown. Would have time to do it today if I only had him. Yeah. Would have been up all night and oh my god, bro. Sure telling him all about what his last name is. His eyes would just be about ready to but with tears so probably trembling, trying to imagine his body being Bro, it don't even make sense how humans like this exist. Bro, I refuse to believe I got the same blood and organs as people like this. This is super villain, anime villain, unreal demonic behavior.
Within their conversations were numerous messages between the two men, fantasizing about not only killing children, but eating them as well, with most of the messages being far too vile to discuss or even show in this video. And this wasn't just fascination, it was obsession. Ronald had even found a child at his church that he frequently discussed wanting to eat, mentioning that he would be the perfect feast for Easter, describing what it would be like to end his life and to consume his body. And this went far past just talking, as Brown had taken photos of the child from afar and had actually been formulating a plan to kidnap him. He had even sent a photo of the child with black lines drawn over it to show the various spots in which Ronald wanted to butcher him. What? This was all supported by his friend Michael too, who himself—
How did these two people even it's weird, bro. These are like the weirdest people I've ever heard of in my life. What's the chance of these two people just like being in contact with each other and having this happen? Bro, that's insane RNG, bro, for these two to know each other.
Claimed to have eaten multiple children, with a man even sending a photo of a 2-year-old girl that was seen inside of a pot, inside of an oven.
What? How?
And this wasn't the end of the shocking discoveries either, as things were made even worse upon investigators searching into Ronald's username, UE Lime. In doing so, they discovered an account on a website called cutedeadguys.net, which was and is a forum for sharing images of the dead between those who fetishize.
Okay, can we take this down? Why the f is this website up? What is the point? What is the point? Edgelord shit? Nah, actually, gorgeous. Y'all gotta understand, gorgeous. It brings the demon out of me, the gore! Stop, bro.
Corpses, and within his account, Ronald stated that he was one of these people too, admitting that he loved the sight of dead boys ever since he was a young man. And he wasn't lying either. Upon these revelations, Ronald's home was raided, where police would find over 200 images containing CP, which didn't even include the hundreds of others showing tied up children, children being abused, and children that appeared to be dead. Along with this, police also found a blow-up sex doll in the home that was dressed in little boy's clothing, and inside one of his sock drawers was another hard drive with images of countless dead children, as well as a single flyer for a missing child in the area. He also had hundreds of images of a young boy named Andrew who had attended Brown's church.
How can you look at all this stuff and then first off, not only just go out in public willy-nilly like perfectly fine, be working in a church or just go in a church in a holy place like that? How?
Church and youth group, with the boy having died of a brain tumor years before.
Sense to me.
Photos that showed the boy's
He's
slow
going to
physical
hell is
decline
too easy to
all the
bro.
way until his
Too easy
memorial
for
service.
You know, Don, you have to invite Jesus Christ to come into your heart and ask him to forgive you.
He's on the
of
show
your
saying
sins.
this!
Upon his arrest,
Jump
Ronald
scare
Brown
warning,
admitted
come on.
to everything. He truly did want to eat the child he had been eyeing up at his church, along with many others over the years. Though after saying this, he claimed that he would never actually have carried through with it, and that Michael and him were merely role-playing. This is heavily debated to this day, as technically there isn't proof that any of these delusions spilled over to the real world. But that's only what we know of, and considering the large quantity of CP in his home, the self-admitted obsession with dead little boys, and the actual plans he had to kidnap and eat a child, it seemed clear that it was only a matter of time before he finally followed through with his desires.
Crazy thing is, he could have never been, if it wasn't for that bottle or whatever they were talking about, could have never been caught. Might have still been on the loose. Now, how many people like this that have worked on shows are like this, bro, in Hollywood that have not been caught? It's really crazy, bro. That's why I feel like I could never get into Hollywood. Simply because, like, if I saw some crazy shit like that and I was told to be quiet because, you know, I want to keep getting actor roles, I wouldn't be able to, bro. I simply wouldn't be able to.
For Ronald, there was no defense. And because of this, the judge handed down a sentence of 20 years in 2014, which would
That's it?
wind up becoming a life sentence.
Okay, good.
As it appears he passed away sometime in 2020, well before
Bozo, holy shit. Nah, give me his grave all my life. I'm pissing on that shit every fucking day and shitting on it every day. I promise you, bro. I'ma spit from the screen. Bitch ass nigga.
his scheduled release.
I'm gonna pick up his fucking
This discovery
dead
changed
body,
the
bro,
entire
from the fucking
context
cemetery.
surrounding Joy Junction,
Lift it out.
the wholesome TV show beloved by children
Just a
all
pea in
across
his
the
mouth,
country, only for one of its main
Bozo.
stars to be outed as a predator of the most disturbing caliber. But there was one last discovery made by law enforcement in Ronald's case that makes the show that much more chilling. During the raid on Ronald's home, officers found a collection of journals that Ronald wrote in daily, where he obsessively discussed young boys that he had been coming into contact with, highlighting his desire to know what it was like to kill them and to know how they taste. These journals, to my knowledge, have never been released to the public, but the thing I find most interesting about this is the date at which these journals started. 1978, meaning that this disturbing desire had been brewing inside of him for decades. And coincidentally, Joy Junction just so happened to start 1 year later, in 1979, meaning that many of the kids seen on this program were likely the very same ones that Ronald wanted to eat.
Bro.
Given this context, it's no wonder why all parties involved with Joy Junction cut ties with it completely. It just changes the entire feeling of the
I honestly don't even blame the network. Who would ever want to be associated with something like this?
show. From the moment that one simple water bottle was identified, Joy Junction's fate was sealed, and so was Ronald Brown's. Still though, I'm left with many questions after reviewing this case. Was there anything more to that traffic stop in 1998, or those pizza parties with the kids? And how serious was Ronald about following through with his plans to kill C, with the answer to these questions likely being taken to the grave along with him? But what I find so fascinating about this case is that the fallout of the raid on Michael Arnett's home is still being felt to this very day. On his devices weren't just chats from Ronald Brown. In fact, there were hundreds of other predators, with officers going on to arrest many of them, some of whom are still in the process of being tried and sentenced. And
what?
When reading into some
2015? It does not take that long to sentence people, bro.
These other cases involving Michael, it's evident
it says he was sentenced, never mind.
How serious these people were about their dark cravings. One of these men was even recently caught having built an entire bunker equipped with torture tools in preparation for his first victim, which he planned to share with Michael. On top of all the CP distribution, these fantasies—
Yo, listen, bro, when y'all have kids, bro, just never lose sight of them, alright? Never lose the thought in your mind, bro. Look, yes, kids can be annoying or whatever. Bro, you gotta think of the thought in your mind. Somebody out there, bro, like this could just like swoop them up and be ready for this shit. Man, I can't have kids in the world we living in. Yo, it gets crazier and crazier, bro. It's worse and worse. Like raising kids without the internet and then raising kids with the internet is like completely different worlds. It's unreal.
About killing children weren't just roleplay. These were very real thoughts and very real plans. But the one small bright spot of this case is that the 2-year-old girl that Michael had photographed in his oven, thankfully, was found alive and well.
Okay, good.
And he too never got to carry through with eating a child, at least that we know. But his physical abuse against them was in fact very real, and as were his desires that him and Ronald likely would have acted on had this entire ring never been exposed. When it was conceived, Joy Junction was meant to teach children morals, right?
Yo, there's certain shows, like, whatever, like, let's say Dan Schneider shows, you could be like, it's whatever, you know? It's whatever. I could get over it, right? Like, it's okay. Right? I'm not gonna regret enjoying my time, you know? This is one of those shows, bro, you watch this shit, you just, like, regret ever watching it, bro. Just knowing the history and knowing what happened, or the people behind it.
From wrong. But ironically, many of these lessons just so happen to be taught by a man who is actively engaging in the very behaviors that were condemned by Joy Junction.
Ron, they were looking at some dirty pictures and they wanted me to look too. As your companions, you should have friends who have pure and clean thoughts and will only give you good ideas.
With his actions forever tainting the show and condemning it to a lifetime of obscurity, remembered only for the man and his puppet who brought the whole thing down.
As a matter of fact, there's something I want to share right now. Really? That's right. Don't go away, kids. Joy Junction is coming right back.
And Joy Junction never came back after that. Yo, that was I'm gonna like the video. That was a scary video. Look, y'all, there's honestly nothing to say, bro. There's nothing to say. This is like the top of the tier of dirtiest shit that could ever happen behind a show like ever. I literally cannot think of anything worse. I do not know. But hey, if you're watching on the tube, join the Discord and watch the streams.
Subscribe to Tommy NFG.